What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Heron Heads podcast, your first stop for all things Inter Miami. My name is Julio, and I'm doing a solo show tonight following the Inter Miami versus Palmeiras match as Dave, Jose, and Chris, my friends and fellow Inter Miami fans, were at the match, so I will be holding down the fort. So it might be a bit of a shorter stream, but definitely wanted to go live following the conclusion of this match because Inter Miami have officially punched their ticket to the knockout stages of the Club World Cup. A great achievement. But before I get into that too much, I want to give a huge shout out to our chief Heron Heads, Chow and Mani V. Thank you so much for your continued generous support. And if you'd like to support us on Patreon, you will find a link in the description wherever you are listening, along with a link to our Discord, which was super active and a lot of fun during this match. And there's some other stuff in there. So check it out if you're interested. If not, make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons. Helps us out a lot. And yeah, Inter Miami played a pretty good match until the last maybe 15, 20 minutes where they sort of lost control and couldn't really hold possession for long stretches. So I'm interested to hear what the rhetoric or what the conversations are around Inter Miami's game tonight. But just to give sort of like a recap of the main highlights of this match. So I thought Inter Miami held play really well the first 10 to 12 minutes of this match. And lo and behold, Palmeiras gets the first big chance of the match with what felt like the first possession they had all game, and that was around the 13th minute. But then on a full-blown counterattack in the 16th minute, I forget who it was who sort of cleared the ball out of our own penalty area. Suarez takes a beautiful touch off the chest right into the path of Tadeo Allende, who was just streaking down the middle of the pitch, beats all the Palmeiras defenders. One of the defenders who was trying to chase him down seemed to have pulled a hamstring. And Allende with a great shot to get past the goalkeeper one-on-one. As he was sort of approaching him, I was like, I wonder if he knows that the defender that was chasing him went down, because I was like, now even more reason for him to need to slot it home, because if he missed that chance, what would the noise have been, right? The stadium and the scenes from videos that we saw, both from the broadcast and the videos that Dave and Chris and Jose were sending over. I mean, that stadium was packed with Palmeiras fans, and I mean, it would have been raucous, right, if Allende misses that first chance. But instead, Allende slots it home. Fantastic finish. And Inter Miami are off, leading 1-0 in the driver's seat to win the group and to finish atop the group. And from there, it was really interesting to see how Palmeiras played the rest of that first half, because towards the latter half of the first half, it seemed like they were content to sit back and allow Inter Miami to hold on to the ball long enough until they eventually made a mistake. And it was really frustrating from an Inter Miami perspective, because the simple passes were there to just continue to play it around. And after long enough, it felt like the Inter Miami players got restless and were like, nah, let me try to push the play. And they would immediately turn it over and try to play it quick. And it's needless, right? Palmeiras isn't able to take advantage of that in the first half, but it was curious. It was interesting to see that was Palmeiras' tactic. I don't know if they were maybe reserving some of their energy to come out in the second half very strong, which they did, but it was maybe like 10 to 15 minutes of the first half where Palmeiras just sort of sat back and said, all right, well, if we sit back, we don't think you can beat us. So that was interesting. Then first half ended. I believe at that time Al Ali was winning their match, so if Inter Miami needed to win the match if that were if that result was to hold. So that match was crazy, because the Al Ali Porto match, essentially for Inter Miami to advance in a losing effort, they would just need Porto to win or for Porto to draw against Al Ahly. And that match had goals galore. I think it finished 4-4, but it was back and forth, right? Like, I think in the span of 5 minutes, 3 goals were scored in that match from either team. Was like Al Ahly scored, Porto scored, Al Ahly scored. But nonetheless, second half begins in the Inter Miami match, 1-0. And after a period of back and forth, I mean, Inter Miami definitely were on the back foot, but Luis Suarez gets onto a ball. And he's pretty far away. Like, I guess you would say he was at the border of the attacking third. And he sort of turns, and I don't know about you guys, but at that moment, Luis Suarez hopped into a time machine and just did not allow himself to be stopped en route to one of his best goals in an Inter Miami kit. Not just this season, which he's had very few, so there's not a lot of competition, but maybe in all his time as an Inter Miami player, one of his best individual efforts to put the team up 2-0. And he dribbles through 2 Palmeiras players and then through a final Palmeiras defender in the penalty area, and then just latches onto a ball, which he hits. He opts to go near post, and the angle was so tight. The Palmeiras goalkeeper, Weverton, I believe it is, he gets a hand on it, and it had such good spin on it, such good power on it, and such great placement that the ball still went in near post. And honestly, it was such a good goal. It was such a good goal from Suarez. And I really hope that gets him going from a scoring perspective, because, I mean, man, let me tell you, the first 15 minutes of this match, I probably said get Suarez off my pitch 5 times. And then he has the assist to Allende. And it's like, okay, this is the Suarez experience. And immediately after that, he has another couple plays where you're like, God, get this guy off my team. Like, I don't know what he's doing. And that continues. And then in, what was it? Let me check here. In the 65th minute, he pulls off that kind of goal. And it's just like, holy crap. Like, I don't know of any other player on our roster that can do that from the 9 position. And Suarez, in his career, has had the ability to do that, but we haven't really seen that this season. So anyways, it was great to see him do that. I hope it begins some sort of form for him where he's got that confidence to take that on, because he really has become more of a passive player. He loses possession constantly, but nonetheless, Suarez, great goal. If you haven't seen it, go find the highlights somewhere. We posted an angle of it on our X feed that Jose took from the match. But just a great individual effort. And then we sat back, and we know what happens when we sit back. We invite pressure, and we're not good. We're not good at handling that kind of sustained pressure. And eventually Palmeiras find a breakthrough. I think there was a lot of individual mistakes for the first goal, but at the end of the day, we're not a team that's equipped enough in defense to be able to handle that sort of sustained pressure from other teams that are capable. And Palmeiras is one of the best teams in CONMEBOL, right? They're one of the best teams, or Libertadores, whatever, the Western Hemisphere. They're one of the better teams, right? So they're going to make you pay when you make these kinds of mistakes over and over. And we just kept giving up cheap possession, and they found a way. And shortly thereafter, poor clearance by Inter Miami, and the ball finds its way to the back of the net, and it's a tie game. And at that point, Al Ahly's winning. We're in a draw scenario. And then it's the realization that if Palmeiras score again and win, and if Inter Miami lose at that point, we're out. Now, Porto scored, and that ended up being a draw, so the point is moot. But Inter Miami played with a little bit of fire. They survived. And if you had told pretty much any Inter Miami supporter that this team was going to get out of a group that had Porto and Palmeiras and now Ali, you would take that 10 out of 10 times. The whole point in this competition, the whole point of the group stage is to get out of the group. I mean, you live to see another day, right? Now, what's on the horizon for Inter Miami? Just a simple date with PSG, just the Champions League champions. No big deal. It'll be Messi's revenge game against PSG, which will be really interesting. Messi's had a hunger about him in this Club World Cup and just in general, right? But in this Club World Cup, he really has this sort of confidence. We didn't see it that much tonight, but there's definitely an edge to him in this competition, and I'm interested to see how he comes out against PSG. This is going to be a level of talent that Inter Miami have never seen in a competitive format. So watching some of these players go up against some of the best players in the world is going to be really interesting to see. I thought Noah Allen did a great job against Estevao, one of the brightest young talents in the world of football. I thought Noah Allen acquitted himself very nicely tonight. He had a couple moments, right? He had a tiki-tack tackle that wasn't called a foul, but could have been a foul according to the broadcast in our own penalty box. We don't want to make a habit of that, Noah. So he survived that. Inter Miami survived that. And again, it's going to be interesting to see how we match up against some of these PSG players. I think it's really cool. That's part of the appeal and allure of this competition, is that you get to see an MLS team against the champions of Europe. I mean, in a competitive format, no less. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Would it have been nice to go up against Botafogo? Yeah, it would have been nice. You would have felt better about the chances of Inter Miami advancing beyond the round of 16 if you're going up against Botafogo. But they play the game for a reason, and even if 99 out of 100 times PSG beats Inter Miami on paper, I guess on paper they probably win 100 out of 100. You never really know in the game of soccer, in the game of football. And, we'll see how that plays out. It's going to be interesting. So I'm going to go through the chat here. I know I've been sort of just rambling on, not used to running the show as a solo operation here. So let me just go through to get some of your comments. I appreciate you guys being here, by the way. If you guys joined a little bit late, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. But let's go and see what everyone is saying. We got defense was tired, legs all falling and getting injuries. I agree, man. And this is potentially could be a problem. I saw Redondo towards the end of the match. I can't tell if it was cramping or if it was something more serious like a soft tissue injury, but he had to come off. They're classifying it as having to come off due to injury. So we'll see if anything comes out from Redondo to see if he'll be able to participate in the PSG match. But that was not great because we are dealing with some injuries to key players. Only Messi and Segovia passed the ball forward. I mean, I think Inter Miami pick and choose when they want to go forward at times. There are certainly opportunities where they have seemingly a wide open pass to the flanks, but I don't think that necessarily always suits Inter Miami's style of play. Not having Frey for that game hurt us in the end. Yeah, again, the injury bug, it's affecting us, but Inter Miami have found a way, at least to, even if it's limping through, even if it's getting lucky, if you want to call it that, getting through the group stage is a win, nonetheless. From the beginning, we played backwards and it went on till the end. No one moved the ball forward. Yeah. Messi hardly not having a touch is really interesting to key in on. He had one touch through 22 minutes of this match. That's not enough. They should really try to get that Messi guy involved earlier and more often. So hopefully that'll be somewhat addressed in this next game against PSG. I assume he'll demand more of the ball, which he did in this match. You saw him dropping much deeper to get a pass fed into him so that he can control a little bit more of the play, and try to open up opportunities for Inter Miami to get on the front foot. But again, I don't know if Palmeiras were intentionally crowding Messi's areas to try to deny the ball from getting there. But yeah, Messi had certainly in the beginning of the match way too few touches. You definitely want him to be obviously on the ball more and affecting play. But yeah, do you think Mascherano should have brought on other players instead of Baltazar? I think you got to get Baltazar out there. I don't know if anyone would have been better. I think this result was a long time coming in this match, and we haven't seen Baltazar since he got hurt, right? So it was good to see him get some playing time. He had a nice play specifically that stands out to me, that he took on the defenders, went on the attack. Shortly thereafter, we lost possession, but it wasn't. I don't believe it was he who lost possession. I think it might have been Kramaski, but I could be mistaken there. Every time Jordi comes on, the whole defense collapsed. Not saying he's the problem, though. I agree. I think, I think Inter Miami have a really bad habit of sitting back and thinking that they're secure. And they're not. They're just not built to sit back and be able to sustain proper commitment to defending. They make a lot of individual errors, and that gets exploited when there's sustained pressure from the opposition. So they're just not built to do that. So it's been an ongoing issue this season. Last season it wasn't so much of an issue because we scored more overall. But the volume of goals has gone down this season, so it becomes exacerbated, and you see a lot of late goals against Inter Miami, and it cost them some results, and it cost us tonight. Yeah, who else was Mascherano supposed to bring on? Exactly. How do I feel about our chance against PSG? 1 in 100. 1 in 100. PSG played incredibly well in their first match. Then they dropped points against Botafogo, and they beat Seattle today, 2-0, 3-0. I mean, PSG's, you could say PSG is one of the best teams in the world. So we are not one of the best teams in the world. We have a lot of talented players, but PSG will have talented players in every single position, where we have maybe 2 or 3 players at that level that you could argue is equal, on equal footing. Financially going into the next round, yeah, it's a lot of money for the league. It's I don't know what it means for the club specifically. I'd have to look into that. I know they said, I believe, winning the Club World Cup, you get like $1 billion, but I don't know if that's just broken out amongst all the teams in different ways. Having Busi in the midfield, nothing happens. It's really interesting, and I pointed this out last match against Porto. He turns down a lot of chances to play the ball in over the top, down the wings specifically. And it happened again tonight a couple times. Messi actually turned one down. I think Allen was up on the left flank, and he opted not to pass it and play it through. Again, I think it's an intentional decision where we know what we are to an extent, and we know that playing the ball up the wing and bypassing the little passes, as much as we think it may be beneficial to stretch the play, they don't have players crashing the box in a way that benefits that style of play to create consistent dangerous opportunities. So I think it's an intentional decision. I have a hard time trying to wrap my head around it, but that's how I justify it. So I don't have a good explanation for that. it would be nice to see them stretch the play more. It felt like last season we attempted it more often, but this year it seems like they're pulling back when there's the opportunity to do that. Chris reports that he and Dave are out of the Green Sea alive. They were seated in the Palmeiras supporter section, and that's what happens when you buy tickets, mystery tickets from the Game Time app. Baltasar, he plays a position similar to Messi, where he can be a central attacking midfielder, or he can play winger. I think primarily his preferred position is winger, but I guess it just depends on how Mascherano wants to deploy the lineup. Imagine De Bruyne in the midfield. Yeah, would be pretty awesome. You know, he would be another person that you would have confidence in being able to ping a pass over the top. And yeah, we don't have too many players who receive the ball in midfield and you feel confident and comfortable about being able to do that. Busquets obviously is one. Messi, when he drops back, is one. And he so often finds Alba making a run in behind. But, you know, Alba not being fully fit is an issue. And yeah, it's a weird one, because it feels like that's open so often, but I don't have a good explanation for that. Miami cannot afford to sit back and relax. They need to keep pressing forward and score. I knew immediately that was going to come back to bite them. Yeah, and not just that, right? Like when it's 2-1. Yeah, when it's 2-1. I mean, Inter Miami, it's not that they didn't have chances, it's that they messed up their chances, right? Allende had another breakaway that he missed. He pulled it just wide, right? 1-on-1 with the keeper again, another great ball in behind. So Allende misses a grade A opportunity. And Fafa, towards the end of the match, I think it was 4 Inter Miami players in Palmeiras' penalty box against 2 defenders. And Fafa just took a really bad touch, man. And the ball just got away from him and they were able to clear it. But if he doesn't take that bad touch, I mean, it's just him and the goalkeeper in very close range. And he would have had, you know, a plethora of choices of where to hit the ball. But unfortunately, he really he mishandled the ball, and that chance got away from them. And then Palmeiras was able to go the other way and capitalize. You know, they absolutely smashed it into the back of the net. Yeah, we lived long enough to die on Saturday against PSG? Possibly. But how cool, like, genuinely, how cool is it that we get a chance to play PSG, right? Because here's the thing. We will have nothing to lose. Nothing, right? The whole world will be expecting PSG to win. And again, 99 out of 100, hell, maybe even 999 out of 1,000 times PSG wins that match. But there's a chance we win somehow. I don't know how that would even play out, but I mean, that's the whole point, right? Like, is that you can have crazy stuff happen. And that would be definitely very crazy, but who knows? A chance for glory is all we can ask for, as Dave says here. I'm glad it's PSG. I'm not torn up that it's PSG, right? Because they always felt like the likeliest outcome based on how, like, if after the first match day, you would definitely say, all right, Inter Miami are probably going to draw PSG. That's going to be impossible. Things played out differently, but nonetheless, it's PSG. Before the tournament, everyone said Miami will get cooked, and now after the group stage, we are discussing how Miami could have topped the group. Miami rocked. I totally agree with this, and I think this is the proper way to look at this, at how this all played out, right? Inter Miami would have been happy to get out of the group stage. We got out of the group stage. Inter Miami had a chance to win the group, and they led. They'll be disappointed that they lost 2-0, or I'm sorry, blew a 2-0 lead against Palmeiras. But Inter Miami get out of the group, and they had a chance to win the group. They beat a European team, Porto. First time any MLS team has ever done that in a competitive FIFA tournament, competition. And man, I mean, they have nothing to be ashamed of. Should they have won tonight? Sure. But they got out of the group. And eventually, they were going to run into a PSG, right? They were going to run into a team that you would be like, man, they got no chance. Whether it's a Manchester City or a PSG, a Real Madrid, whoever you want to say is in that cut, right? Eventually, they would have run into a team like that. So it was bound to happen. PSG is a fun one. PSG is a fun storyline. PSG, again, we have nothing to lose. But if we take down the champions of Europe, what's the discourse then? Because then forget about it. You won't be able to shut us up. Cocky Inter Miami fan would be so back. Like I said in the Discord, by the way, join the Discord, link in the description. One thing I've noticed in this tournament is how not having quality players in the final third punishes teams. Absolutely. I mean, just in general, especially when you see certain matchups, right, and you see the disparity in talent between one team and the other, it's it magnifies the impact of quality, right? So it's definitely a good point. I like to believe anything's possible. Miami have basically shown that anything is possible. Yeah. Well, the saying, freedom to dream, right? Freedom to believe. And they played the game for a reason. Like if you had said, I mean, shoot, like, again, Inter Miami wasn't meant perhaps to get out of the group, and here we are. So, we'll be there Saturday to play the match. One of the Euro Giants was inevitable. Exactly. That's exactly my point. Only unbeaten North American team in the Club World Cup. One of the few left standing, right? Only 8 teams didn't get a single point, 2 of them from the MLS. I don't want to hear we don't deserve to be here. Oh, we absolutely deserve to be here. That certainly has been proven across these group stage matches. That for sure. The dream would be to watch Messi demolish Real Madrid in a final one last time. Could you imagine the scenes? Oh, I would go to that match, admittedly, assuming it's in Miami. I would, have to excuse myself from duties of having to do a solo show while these other 3 bozos go party at Hard Rock Stadium. I would have to be there. But yeah, why don't we do some?
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.
And now it's time for Jose's most and least of the match, presented by SofaScore. So, the gang's not all here. So I'm just going to have to just come out with who's the best and least of the match. And obviously I've had it up on the screen this whole time for those of you watching on video. But Luis Suarez, the Luis Suarez experience is in full swing. The man had an assist, a great assist, and an incredible goal. And Luis Suarez is your most of the match with an 8.6. God, he is infuriating, but man, when he's on, it is awesome. And that goal was just a reminder of how awesome he has been at times in his career, and a little flash of what he can still do. There's not much else you can say about the goal other than it was amazing. It was one of our goals of the season. And again, I think it's one of his best. No, I think it's his best goal ever for Inter Miami. But yeah, like Dave says, Suarez was so bad for so many stretches of this one. Totally agree. He was brutal. He was brutal in the 15 minutes leading up to the assist. But at the end, when the dust settled, he was your most of the match. And man, guys, credit where credit's due. Mascherano subbed him off. What was it? The 60-something minute? The 73rd minute. I mean, round of applause for Mascherano for subbing off Luis Suarez. I didn't think he had it in him. As for your least of the match, Telasco, Segovia 6.4, but Chelo Wegant with a 6.2. Now, Chelo was all over the pitch, and not in a good way, but sort of in that way that he likes to meander into bad positions and just be caught out of position. And tonight was one of those nights, man. He liked exploring. He liked going off on adventures. And can we say he was at fault for the first goal? He was one of the individuals that I thought made an error that led to that first goal. But Chelo had his little moments where he was okay defensively. But overall, not too great. He did pretty much silence Facu Torres, in my opinion. I thought Torres was fairly ineffective when he went on the left wing. But one of those Chelo matches where you're just like, I've seen better. I've seen a lot worse, but I've seen better. I thought Redondo was really nice today. I gotta agree with you. I thought Redondo played a very steady Freddy game. Steady Eddie, who knows? I thought he did a good job. I thought Redondo did a good job as well. Chelo flew up the pitch that one time like an errant kite and flew all the way to Palmeiras goalkeeper. Not just to the goalkeeper, but then he kept going and drifting, and he ended up by the Palmeiras right back. And then he like jogged his way back to his position. And if Palmeiras were quicker, they could have caught him more out than they eventually caught him out. If Argentina can play for Messi to win the World Cup, I'm sure Miami will play for Messi to win against PSG. We're going to give it all we got. I'm sure of. Now, does that translate when push comes to shove here? When it's time to put it into action, is that going to translate? Because Inter Miami giving it all may still not reach the level of PSG playing in a competitive setting. But I would agree with you. I would think that Miami give it everything that they have. Messi's going to be, you got to think that he's just fired up to take on PSG. I think of all the teams this could have been, certainly Real Madrid would have been incredible fun because, man, just one more go at it. PSG's got to be second, right? So I agree, Dave. I'm proud of our guys as well. I think Inter Miami acquitted themselves very nicely in the group stage. And now we wait for PSG, right? So I don't have a jumping off point of the most and least of the match, but that was your most and least of the match, brought to you by SofaScore. Download SofaScore by checking out the link in our description. Yeah, I don't have too much else to add. It's tough carrying the show solo here, but again, definitely felt the need to come on here. I think this is again just a monumental result, like the one against Porto. Inter Miami get out of the group stage in the Club World Cup, and now we get to play PSG again in a competitive setting, and it's gonna be fun. The world will think that we're gonna lose, and we may lose, but wouldn't it be cool if we scored first? Wouldn't it be cool if we scored? So it's gonna be fun, guys. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in to the Heron Heads podcast, your first stop for all things Inter Miami. As Chow has so kindly reminded me, we are powered by 786 Sports. Hit the like and subscribe if you haven't already. I've been notified that we've made a big sum of cash for making it to the knockouts, 20 million. Hopefully the Heron Heads receive some of that. But until that time, we'll catch you on the next one. So we'll see you post-match for PSG. I don't know if we'll do... I know the guys maybe wanted to do a show perhaps tomorrow just to get their thoughts on on the game and being there. So we may be live tomorrow to just go through their experience. I know, I mean, the Palmeiras fans were awesome all match. So yeah, we'll see you guys then. If we're not live tomorrow, maybe we'll do a PSG preview sometime midweek, but otherwise we will definitely be live post match on Saturday. And yeah, we'll see you guys then. Have a good night. Go Inter Miami. Bye.